All right, folks, we're back. I'm your host, BKP. Good morning from the office, North Georgia's only live online morning show. So, yesterday, now, is it Tim Worley? What's his name? I forget. I read an article yesterday, former UGA player. You know, this stuff of sidelining, sitting the sideline because, you're going to enter the NFL draft and not play for your team. You get a scholarship. Your scholarship requires you play. You're playing for the school, the team, the fans, your scholarship that you're getting paid for. But you sideline it because you're waiting out. You don't want to get anything to happen because you're going to be in the NFL draft. All I'm going to say is I didn't say jokingly, but yesterday I brought out my Texas hat and I had fun. I said, is it too soon to bring this out? And Kirby Smart from UGA is a great coach, okay? He is a great coach. Let me just say this, okay? I'm going to try not to mess it up, but Nick Chubb released a story now, running back for the Browns, okay? Released a story that was written about Mark Richt's retirement. And we just can't miss the real success that's happening. Now, Nick Chubb has not got a national championship ring. And we understand you want your national championship. I'm okay with that. I don't blame you. You should play to win. But Nick Chubb does not have a national championship ring, and he's doing very well. Curley, is that his name? He doesn't have a national championship ring. Is he with the Rams? Am I right? Is he with the Rams? Other one's with the Browns. Is that correct? Curly's or whatever, Gurley, whatever his name is with the Rams. Anyhow, here's the point. So, when Mark Richt I don't want to mess this up. I read this article. It was sent to me. It was a must read. So when Mark Richt retired, all right, when he was leaving UGA, all right, he got the team together. They had a team meeting, all right? And he asked how many, and I'm going to push it real together here because some people may have read the article and say, no, that's not exactly. But he asked how many in the room were raised in homes without a father. Okay. He asked the team, he said, how many of you in the room were raised without a father in the home while you were growing up at some point? And the article says about half of the room raised their hand. About half of this room of the team raised their hand. That's what the article says, somewhere around that. And he said, my job here is to do everything he can. He listed all the things that were the priorities to him. Is that one day in a team meeting, your sons, if you ever have sons sitting in a team meeting, and the same question is asked, the priority to me, the success will be if your children don't raise their hand in that room. I was blown away by that article on Mark Richt, the quality of that guy. All right, and I'm not saying UGA made a mistake in letting him go, and he went to Miami, and and now he's out and retired. But let me tell you something, UGA fans. Kirby Smart worked. Kirby Smart worked for Nick Saban. Kirby Smart is wearing national championship rings as defensive coordinator, I guess, for Alabama, if I get that right. He understands the level of discipline that is demanded by a head coach. A successful head coach like Nick Saban. You don't have to like the guy or not. But he understands that. And Kirby Smart, UGA head coach, has to go back and establish that level of discipline. Our UGA fans out there, Bulldog fans, it's going to slowly continue to erode. Because what happened in UGA football in the last 2 weeks with the lack of discipline from coaching, players, and the fans in the last 2 weeks is worse than anything or any loss or any, final stats in Mark Richt's career. Period. As a UGA head coach. So you guys gotta get. I love it. I'm a UGA fan, but you gotta suck it up and realize the level of discipline. And something has to happen between now and next year by the time they take the field. Or you're gonna be looking at a lot of disappointed years. That's just all there is to it. Now, don't know why the hell I went down that road. Apple. Oh, wait a minute. Let me put this up. I'm sidetracked, right? ADD. Mean Gene Okerlund. Remember Mean Gene Okerlund, number 16? Josh, do you remember Mean Gene Okerlund?
Barely.
What?
Barely.
Oh, I got to put that on the interview sheet. If you don't know Mean Gene Okerlund, that's got to be a list on the interview sheet that you have to answer affirmative before you can be in the organization. WWE, WWF, years ago, Mean Gene Okerlund, he died, and I wanted to give him a shout out. I can't go through that. Saturday mornings, man, getting up and there's a little kid listening to this guy do these interviews back in the locker room and these wrestlers going crazy. It's hilarious. All right, so let's go to this. I've read 2 articles. Now, number 25, all right, and I don't know what, I do not, stock market sell-off was due to a glitch. We'll work on that in a minute, all right? That's the president says. But look here, the futures are changing. This is what they put up this morning. And here we go, number 26. Tim Cook blames Trump's trade war with China as a big factor for Apple's slowdown. Now, let me explain something to you. My guess, Apple does not have the pricing structures around the world as though they do in America. All right. I tried because of the phenomenon. Of hearing what a superior product Apple is out there. I tried an iPhone 4 or something. This is years ago, okay? I tried an iPhone 4 or something like that. And I kept it about a year. And I went back to, my Google technology or whatever. All right? I never went back to Apple. All right? Now, I have been told that once you work on an Apple computer, or there's an enormous things that you can do on an Apple computer that you can't do on a Microsoft system, the standard Dell, all the other ones. Okay, I've been told that I've been told that Apple is so superior. Okay, I have a correction. I better do this. Let me not do the Apple. I want to do my correction. I almost forgot. I got sidetracked. I got 5 or 6 things happening. All right. Now, you are the research department out there, and I hate to break into this story for a correction, but it's important. You're the research department out there. You help me. Remember in the last segment, I continued to say, okay, hey, you know what? I don't know. I said I don't know 3 or 4 times. I didn't know. But I was told from a good source, part of the FYN morning show research department, that they can't pass it. The bill dies as soon as the 116th Congress is seated. So if there's no action, there hasn't been action on it by the Senate, it dies. All right, so I've been told, because I asked about the bill that the House sent over 2 weeks ago that has the 5.7. I wondered if Mitch McConnell could take all these new senators and pass that with the nuclear option. As soon as this new Congress is seated, the bill dies. That's what I've been told, and it can't be passed. So I want to thank our research department out there. Please continue to send me information. Thank you very much. You are the research department for helping me make that correction. So they can't do that. That ship has sailed. Now back to Apple. Tim Cook blames Trump trade war with China as a big factor for Apple's slowdown. Now what I wanted to get to before I so rudely interrupted myself to change the subject, I'm not knocking Apple, you great ones out there. But keep in mind, Apple treats Americans with an economic separation. All right? Exactly. Now, businesses, you're going to laugh at me, and I'm happy that I can create a good laugh for you. But businesses out there, you keep talking about Facebook. Okay. Now, I'm the crazy one, but a year ago, if I said to you a year ago, just talking around your phone, all right, and the next thing you know, you get an ad that they can hear you 24/7, you're laughing at me. Now it is coming up that Facebook knows where you are at, when you're there, what friends you're talking to, what stories you click on. If the stories you click on are more about X subjects, then you're going to get different ads. You used to think it's cool, now it's creepy. This is true. My wife and I have had a conversation driving down the road in the car. And the next thing you know, she has an ad on her phone somewhere near the conversation. You can laugh at me if you want, okay? Now, marketing. If you are using an Apple product, businesses feel you have more money. Continue to laugh. This is the most hilarious segment you've ever heard, but they do, okay? And Apple's part of it. So you go in and you can buy a phone for $129 and you can get all these apps on here and you can go on with your life, right? But you can't do that with Apple. You got to have, $1,200, I'm just saying, to get that latest, greatest screen. All right? Pixelates. Doesn't pixelate. But when you buy that, Apple has said, we have a level out here that has more money, more affluent. Now, you think it's funny? Okay. Now, Apple also will not put their computers. There is no major thing. It's the old, it's the old label of who's putting it. Yes, they have a different operating system. I'm not stupid, all right? Yes, the operating system is different. Apple has proprietary operating equipment. We're going to get there. But they put their computers and they put their phones at a level where they don't want me, average Joe, to buy them. So I go in and I need a good production computer, and for me to do that, let's say I can put $1,200 in it. I walk one aisle over, the casing, the guts, what's driving that ship, one aisle over in the Apple world, that same computer, yes, I know it has a different operating system, quit saying it, damn it, but that same computer is not $1,200, it's $3,200. I say, hell, I can't have one, all right? There's a reason They have separated themselves in the United States of America because retailers, okay, if you own Apple Computer and you're coming from an Apple, everyone knows, a retailer knows where everything's coming from. I can drill down and tell you if you're watching on your iPhone, your Samsung phone, a laptop, what it is. They can drill down. So Apple intentionally, this $1 trillion, now we're concerned, and everything's going to hinge on this $1 trillion corporation losing a couple billion, 55 billion, right? Big deal. Oh my God, they lost 55 billion. They're going to throw it on Trump. They're going to blame Trump for this, okay? Apple Computer tomorrow, all right? You start reading. I read a story this morning about 5 a.m. on Zero Hedge, okay? And I went through this thing. This story was pretty long. And they talk, and Tim Cook here, the CEO of Apple, is giving all of his reasons where there's growth market here, and there's growth here, and there's no growth, and these are the reasons. It's called the K8, all right? I think it's called the K8. And you have to give this report to your investors. You file what's called a K8 for your investors. All right. Now, the interesting thing is he knows that the earnings are going to miss the mark now when he basically had this information 2 months ago. Exactly. Right? He knew this corporation, this $1 trillion corporation that's trying to run the economic machine in this country, okay? We get right back to what's called the too big to fail, okay? And Apple was aware of these numbers or the possibilities of missing these marks 2 months ago. But last night this broke. And now they had to halt yesterday. I mean, yesterday this broke. They had to halt Apple's because what happens are the triggers that Trump called a glitch. They call them a glitch, but the triggers that happen. All right, I don't have time to get into that. Now, they use China. Tim Cook blames Trump war with China as big factor with Apple slowdown. What about taking this economy here? And what about moving those golden pieces of equipment that you think are worth $3,000 when this one's only worth $1,200? And why don't you bring it down a little bit? Maybe I might not pay $1,200 or $3,200 for your Apple computer or box, as some call it, all right? And I can only go $1,200 for the production computer I want. I can't go your $3,200. But maybe I'll take a chance on your Apple product for $1,800. I might even spend another $600 so I could say, hey, I got that Apple product that everybody. They're not, it's not the greatest invention in the entire world that it's 32 versus 12. You can say I'm off, but go check out Apple. So a couple things that happened here. Apple could, for all of those that are so hung up on Apple, okay, Apple could, and you keep using, they're using it for China, okay? Apple could go today and have a meeting and say, you know, let's tap into the American market. There's a novelty thing. We priced ourselves out of the American market. And you're going to say, well, I don't think they did because you should see all the kids and you should see all the parents and this and that. Yes, I don't think they did. Because if you'll look at who's carrying around Apple phones, if you'll look who has Apple computers, and I'm not knocking those people, they're trying to create a level of, okay? You know, when you were a kid and you're in high school, you could have the same damn denim, okay, on your pants. This has not changed, folks. We did it through the 70s and the 80s. We had a major change through the 70s and the 80s with tennis shoes and clothing. You can laugh at me if you want. And they do it in every generation. They find products that they can do it with. Okay? In the 70s and the 80s, we did it with clothing. You could have the same piece of denim on. It could be sewed the same way. It could fade the same way. But your mom bought it at bigdenim.com, and that's what it said, not .com back then, Big Denim Warehouse, and that's what it said on the tag, Big Denim Warehouse, and so you're not cool. You go over 2 stores over, and it says Levi's 501 Blues, right? It says 501's red tag Levi's. And you automatically changed your status of cool. I mean, you can keep laughing, all right? Apple is somewhat in that area. All right, they don't know what to do anymore in America. They don't, because they released remember, they're not showing on the internet. Now, the reason I'm spending a lot of time on this, I don't think it's fair to take Apple and Trump and China and paste him as maybe Apple's problem internally that they're trying to figure out what to do. Okay? So we didn't even have 5 years ago, 6 years ago. Hey, Josh, let me ask you a question, because I think you know this internally. About 6 years ago, we'll go back about 6 years ago, if Apple released a phone, there was actually people, released a new model phone, there was actually people that would camp overnight, stampede, stand in a line, 300-400 in a line to get through that door, or crash these small doors. We've had it in LJ, 5, 6 years ago, all over the country, because Apple had a new release, correct?
Yep, that happens.
Okay, it did. This last one, you don't see it anymore like you used to.
The last 2 iPhone launches, there was almost nobody there.
Wait a minute. Are you talking to me or the audience?
Both.
Okay, so you're telling me the last 2 iPhone launches, very little hype, standing in line trying to get them, right?
Yep, the first 2 I worked, we had people lined around the building.
Okay, and then the last 2, it didn't happen.
Right.
Okay, all right, folks, there you go. Didn't happen. You're not hearing that anymore. But no, they want to. Tim Cook blames Trump trade war. No, Apple, no, because if you come on TV and you make the screen a little bigger, and you come on TV and you tweak something in the camera, or you go on TV and do a commercial with all these different colored people running around wearing different colored jumpsuits, it doesn't make this phone any greater. And you're running out of things to call it greater, that the American people are snapping it up. And you're trying to create that level, right? Got it? Level of economic status. There's Apple. Why don't you as a business look at maybe approaching the American market? Okay? Why not try to get me to buy your phone? Why not? Okay? I asked a person, don't know if it's true or not. I said, hey, let me ask you point blank. This individual works in the tech industry, works in the phone business, okay? And I said to this individual, I said, with all the new Apple phones that are coming out and stuff, is it time for me to switch back from my phone? I won't give them free advertising. I'll give it to Apple. My phone to Apple? They said, absolutely not. The technology in your phone and the next up of your phone blows Apple away. That's what I'm hearing. I don't know if it's true. But that being said, why doesn't Apple, right? Why doesn't Apple try to sell the American market? Period. Now, moving on from that, because I'm going to get off Apple. I read this article. I'm not going to play like I understand trading on Wall Street, all right? But when you make a product here and you ship it to China, okay, you have to have Chinese distribution. Period. The Chinese government gets involved, right? Bottom line, you have to have, if you make the product here or anywhere else in the world, you ship it to China, you have to have Chinese distribution. The Chinese company that has to be partnered with you to do the distribution also has to have some of its stake in the government has to have some of the stake in the Chinese side of your distribution, period, or you do not do business in China, okay? Jack zero on trade war. Jack zero on trade war. Bottom line. 2, if you manufacture in China, as Trump says, if you manufacture in China, you have to have a partner. You have to. You have to have a Chinese partner. You can't go over there and say, oh, I'm going to make an iPhone for the billion Chinese out there, okay? And I'm going to build my factory. They say, okay, here's your partner. So you have to have a partner. See, in America, we did that. We have government contracts. We have government contracts in America where to get the government contract, so much has to go out to minority contractors. Okay? It's what it is in China just to be in business. You have to have their chosen Chinese meet your new partner, or you're not doing business here. And in that new partnership, the Chinese that are in business with you in China, Apple, there's a portion of them that belong to the government. No matter what they tell you, it's all lies if they're not telling you this. Then, maybe China has over the years been stealing Apple's proprietary information. Maybe they have. Let's just say Chinese cell phone companies can build a mega blast 10 times better cell phone than Apple now in China. Let's just say that's possible because they've stole all of Apple's proprietary information. Apple's lying to you and their investors if they're not going to tell you the truth that China stole all of their proprietary information. And now China builds, they have these great, amazing phones that you got Apple over here saying to the Chinese, hey, we want $2. And this company's saying we want $1, and the Chinese are saying we're not Americans. We're not going to buy your Apple phone. We're not the Americans walking around that watch Bird Box like this dumbass did and wear blindfolds. We don't do that. We're buying the phone that we stole all your technology for $1. This will never come out. Never come out. So the Chinese market has softened for Apple. Yes, it has. It's softened for Apple. They're not buying the Apple phones at the great rate that they used to buy the phones as they were stealing everything and building these phones. Now the Chinese are doing what? China first, just like America first. They're buying their phones from their manufacturers. Why buy an Apple phone? Look at the headline. Tim Cook blames Trump trade war with China as big factor for Apple's slowdown. BS. Total BS. Nothing true about it. Second, the economy is slowing down in China. We didn't do that. Their economy is slowing down. They're not buying the iPhones at inflated prices. They're buying their own Chinese cell phone manufacturers because they've got your technology. So my thing is, let's not cry over Apple having a worm in it. And maybe Apple might want to rethink their American market and rethink that they have maxed out the money that they've stolen all around the world, getting people to give them $1 trillion. $1 trillion friggin' dollars. So how about thinking this? Maybe you capped out. Maybe $1 trillion was your cap. Maybe your investors need to realize your $1 trillion was your cap. Maybe you need to look at a new way of your product and realize, you know what? The gig is up. See, Donald says that about everything. The gig is up. It's up. The gig is up. We're not going to give you $600 and $700 more for your phone. We're not going to give you $3,200 for your laptop when we can buy a laptop for $1,200. You can laugh at us all day long that we're not Apple people, but why don't you focus on a market you know nothing about? Why not? Called us out here, the people that can't afford your product. But maybe then, if that happens, the people that are retailing out there that you're in cahoots with all these other people that know they're using, get a price. If you totally use Apple products, there's so many things you're purchasing that you're paying a higher price because they think you have more money. I'm your host, BKP. I don't know how I did on that segment, but I'm going to move from that because I got to get to Mitt Romney. But Tim Cook, I'm sorry. And Apple investors, I'm sorry. And I hope you're not too sad today. But I don't give a rat's because I don't own not one share of your stock. So I don't share your pain. Take us a break.